Alright, radio check, I should be live. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We have got the race starting in 45 minutes time and a lot of pre-race build-up to get through. Of course, we had that big shock yesterday with Lando Norris getting pole position instead of Max Verstappen, and well, that's going to make the race a lot more exciting today. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens. Okay, we've already got, I think, 300, 400 people tuned into the live stream. Very much do appreciate it, folks. If you are enjoying, well, yeah, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're not already. But let's get into it. So yesterday we had quite the exciting qualifying session, of course, with the top 5 being 2 McLarens, 2 Alpines, 2 Ferraris, 2 Mercedes, and 2 Red Bulls. So that clearly tells us the order of the fastest cars on the grid, and well, maybe it seems like McLaren and Max Verstappen are quite close to each other. Well, Lando Norris and Max Verstappen are quite close to each other. Unfortunately, Piastri yesterday getting 2 lap times deleted on his first run and on his second run, both of them getting deleted. Didn't get any lap times deleted in Q1 or Q2, but he got his lap times deleted, both of them in quali in Q3, and that is why he is in 10th position without a lap time. Who knows where he would have been without his lap times getting deleted. So yeah, we'll just have to find out what Piastri's pace like. Will he be able to overtake? I think he'll be able to overtake the Alpines, and then maybe get onto the back of the Ferraris, and depending on what their race pace is like, it might be a bit better. His lap times were deleted for exceeding track limits at turn number 10 for the first occasion, and then turn number 12 for the second occasion. So, yeah, 2 different corners. One of them a left-hander, one of them a right-hander, but both of them in the second sector. So, yeah. Right. The screen currently is the qualifying, and then I'll put the race data up shortly once it gets underway. Yeah. Alright, let's see, what else is there to talk about? Well, there's the fact that the Alpines have made so much progress in the span of 10 races. So we are at round number 10 of the Formula 1 season, and Alpine, right at the start of the season, I remember calling it the Alpine a tractor, seeing a lot of memes about the Alpine being a tractor, and them getting eliminated in Q1, probably first 3 races in a row, because their car was just so heavy. And they've managed to resolve those issues. They unfortunately have not been able to resolve the power issues that they've got. They are still 15 to 25 horsepower down compared to the other cars. So that is not going to be something that will be resolved until 2026 regs, because the engines have been frozen. So you can only modify the engines for reliability purposes. You cannot modify them for power purposes. Which means that Alpine will be struggling for the foreseeable future for power. However, if their aerodynamics and their chassis is good, they can very much compensate for that and still be towards the top of the midfield. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I wasn't expecting. Yeah, Gasly said that they weren't expecting to be good, and yeah, this is the thing. In Monaco, they were good, but that was kind of expected. There, Monaco, you don't need that much power. You can be down on horsepower and still be quick. And Alpine did well in Monaco, and here we are at Spain, which is still quite power sensitive. Like, the drivers spend, I think, 67% of the lap at full throttle, and there are quite a few high-speed corners here as well. So there's a balance, but even at this sort of high downforce requirement circuit, the Alpines are doing pretty well, which is good to see. And both drivers making it through is brilliant. Yeah. All right. Also, we have, yeah, well, let's not talk about their incident in Monaco. Yeah, their pace was good in quali. Their incident in Monaco was something else that we probably shouldn't discuss, really. In Sergio Perez, he got a 3-place grid penalty. He had the 3-place grid penalty from the Canadian Grand Prix, and then that will translate over to him starting the race in 11th position in today's Grand Prix, which is not great for him, but yeah, it will all update soon. I've got to wait another, I think, 10-15 minutes before the race data comes through, and then once that comes through, then we'll be good to go. All right, do you think Lewis has a shot at the podium? I definitely think Lewis does. And this is the other thing. If you guys look at the circuit, you can see the start-finish straight is on the right-hand side of the screen, and turn number 1 is on the left-hand side of the screen. There is a very, very long distance between turn number 1 and the... there's a very big distance between the starting grid and turn number 1, which means that the drivers have a exceptionally long amount of time to get a slipstream and slipstream past someone. So potentially the two Mercs in 3rd and 4th position have a really big advantage here of being able to slipstream past the driver ahead of them. And it is quite surprising. Well, not surprising, but it is quite... what was the word? Exciting. Quite exciting for any Mercedes supporters, because if they can get a good slipstream, maybe Hamilton gets a nice toe off Lando, Russell gets a nice toe off Verstappen, and you could see maybe a Mercedes 2-3, Mercedes 1-3. It's hard to say, but who knows what will happen with such a long start-finish straight. There are so many different combinations of what can happen. If someone gets a good start, someone gets a bad start, very difficult to say what will happen. I'm just going to get through. I think I can get the race data through now. In fact, let me just have a quick check if the race data will come through. Oh, there we go. The race data has come through. There we go. The drivers will also be coming onto the circuit. As you can see, there they are. Nice. Okay, so yeah, all the drivers now just making their way to the start-finish grid. They're coming out of the pits and just going out on a set of used tyres, making their way to the grid, and the race has not begun. I'd just like to clarify that. As you can see, most drivers are in the pits anyway. Okay. Right. But yeah, it has been updated. Sergio Perez has been dropped down to 11th position after his grid penalty. Also, I'd like to say in qualifying yesterday, the gap was so close between Hamilton and Russell was 2 milliseconds. Russell and Leclerc was, I think, 35 milliseconds or something. And then between Leclerc and Sainz was 25 milliseconds. It was so close at the top of the pack. And now this is one of the shorter circuits, so a 1 minute 12 lap time will by default be closer than a 1 minute 48 lap time, because there's just less distance for you to for the gaps to get bigger. But regardless of that, when you have 11,000 parts for every Formula One car, and they're all driving around the same circuit, then managing to be within a split second of each other is quite the spectacle, really. Oh, all right. F1 Gamer, who do you want to win today's race? I would say, well, who do I want to win? It'd be great if Norris could win. That would be fantastic, and it would really spice things up. But I'm happy with anyone winning as long as it's not particularly Verstappen. I would like that championship gap to get a little bit smaller and potentially make the season a lot more exciting for us. What happened with Piastri? I saw him high up yesterday at the start of quali, but he fell back. Yes, Piastri, he got a lap time deleted. Both his first run and his second run. First run was deleted at turn 10, second run was deleted at turn number 12, and that is why Piastri is down in 9th position while his teammate is up on pole. But I'm sure once Piastri set a lap, like if he set a quick lap that wasn't deleted, he would have definitely been up there in 3rd or 4th, which really sucks. And this is a circuit that Piastri has raced up before. He's raced here in F2, raced here in F3, and there's not sort of an excuse this time round. You normally, the excuse, well, not normally the excuse, but in, say, for example, China, Piastri had never raced at that circuit before, so it was kind of expected that he would be a 10th or so behind Norris. But at this circuit, where he's had experience, Norris has experience, and he's driven here before in all manner of different cars, he should be able to perform quite well. Also, track temperature is up at 40 degrees today, so quite the high track temperature that the drivers will have to deal with. Maybe it'll cool down later on, but as of now, 40 degrees, which might throw a spanner in the works in terms of strategy. Okay, this is not a replay of Q3, this is the drivers making their way to the starting grid and doing a couple of testing laps to dial in, doing the install laps, checking everything's working properly, and making sure all of the sensors and related parts of the car are all working fine. Yeah. Was it just Piastri ran out of time to do another lap other than the deleted one, or does lap deleted mean you were disqualified from that qualifying session? No, he just he ran out of time to do another lap. Like, he got both lap times deleted, so there wasn't enough time to do another lap. He wasn't disqualified or anything like that. Right. 40 degrees Celsius. Yeah, 40 degrees Celsius. Apologies for my American fans. All right. Let's see. Lap times deleted got because of track limits. Yep, turn number 10 and turn number 12 is where he exceeded track limits. All right, we've got 34 minutes till we get underway for the start of the race. I'm going to go through the strategy options that we'll have for today. It's a guaranteed two-stop race, which is going to be really exciting. And in fact, it was raining earlier in Barcelona. Unfortunately, that rain has not continued falling. It is drying out. The circuit will be pretty green, which means tyre wear will be increasing. Because the rain will have washed all of the rubber away off the circuit. But regardless of that fact, we're going to have a two-stop race, and it does not look like we'll be having any sort of rain interruptions or delays like that, because it is nice and sunny in Barcelona with air temperature at 25 degrees and clear blue skies with not a cloud in sight. Yeah, practice starts and warm-ups, and then as you can see, we've got a couple of drivers already parked up on the grid. We've got Gasly, and I think one of the McLarens there are parked up. Yeah, Gasly, Piastri, quite a few cars already parked up there. The cars are on the track because they're making their way to the grid. Yeah, because the cars are in the pits overnight, and then of course they've got to make their way to the track to start the race. All right, so the strategy options, in fact, let's go through this. So it takes 22.5 seconds to do a pit stop under green flag conditions, 12.5 seconds under, oh no, sorry, not 12.5, 17.5 seconds. Oh wait, no. Oh, apologies for that. It was 12.5. I just can't read. Yeah, 12.5 seconds under safety car and virtual safety car conditions. So you gain 10 seconds there pitting under the virtual safety car, which is a massive amount of time. So given the fact that in the previous 8 Spanish Grand Prix, there has been a 50% chance of a safety car and a 25% chance of a virtual safety car. The teams will be looking out for that. Given the fact that we'll also have 2 stops, it will be quite critical to get those. It'll be quite critical to potentially get a pit stop under a safety car and gain 10 seconds for free. Right, yes, the race is starting in 30 minutes, yeah. All right, so let's have a look. The quickest strategies recommended by Pirelli: starting the race on the soft tyres, then going on to the mediums, then going on to the softs. That is the quickest. The second quickest, start on the softs, go on to the hards, and then go on to the softs again. The third quickest, start on the softs, go on to the hards, then go on to the mediums. And those are the 3 quickest strategies by Pirelli. Now, all of these strategies are reasonably quick, but the main thing that dictates which one is going to be the strategy that comes out on top is most likely going to be the temperature and how the tyre degradation is for all of the other drivers and your car as well. So with track temperature up at 40 degrees, that's pretty high temperature, and the circuit also being green as well, that means it's going to slide around more and we're going to get even more degradation. So it might be optimal to go start on the softs, then go on to the hards, and then go on to the softs. If tyre wear is really high, then do softs, hards, and then mediums. But the main thing is we want the drivers to be starting the race on a set of soft tyres, because that is that is much more important, mainly because of the fact that the soft tyres will give you a really good launch off the start of the grid, and it will give you, and that's quite critical actually, because getting a good launch and then following that a good slipstream going into turn number 1 can massively improve your chances of getting a podium maybe, or going 3-4 positions higher than you normally would be. Also, I would like to point out this, so people that have been watching Formula 1 for quite a while now, you will have known that the circuit, they've modified the layout. They got rid of the chicane, they've sort of rounded out turn number 10 instead of using the sharper version of turn number 10. And that means that in the past 2 years, we have had double the amount of overtaking than we previously would have had. And if you remember, last year, the field was kind of spread out. Like Max Verstappen was dominating, all of the drivers in the middle as well. They were kind of spread out. Here, we are so close together. And with a circuit, the overtaking chances have been doubled in previous years. We are going to have some really good racing on our hands. On our hands today, because just the combination of everyone being so close together and the circuit being well set up for overtaking, like the DRS zones are the perfect length, so when the drivers are going into turn number 1, they will be side by side. The same thing for turn number 10, the DRS is set up perfectly, and especially the sequence in the final sector, turn number 10, 11, 12, 13, like that really suits itself to drivers racing side by side and us getting some really good action. Yeah. Are the tyre choices available? No, the tyre choices will come through, I think, 5 minutes before lights out. That's when we find out what tyres everyone will be on. But the tyres that we have today are the C3, C2, and C1, so the soft, medium, and hard from Pirelli, the hardest compounds from their range, since we are at a very high speed circuit here in Barcelona. The wind today, 11.2 kilometers an hour. It is blowing westward, and that is going to be west/southwestward, and that means that the drivers will be having a headwind going into turn number 3, and then a tailwind coming through a couple of other corners like turn number 13. So it'll be quite tricky, and especially a big tailwind going through turn number 9, which means you could see a couple of drivers going wide there. So that'll be something to keep in mind. The wind changing around, we could see a couple of mistakes because of that. All right. Yeah, I would say the tyres, I would probably expect most of the teams to be starting out on the soft tyres, even though track temperature is 40 degrees, just the sheer advantage that you have off the line. The soft tyres are half a second quicker than the medium tyres. When they're both fresh, the soft tyres are half a second quicker in race conditions. So that half a second, on the opening 2-3 laps is, well, enormous, because everyone else is already so close together. Once you get 15-20 laps into the race, everyone's sort of spread out, then using that half a second advantage you won't be able to get that many overtakes done, whereas you will be able to get a lot of overtakes done if you have the soft tyres and everyone's close together. Also, the other thing to keep in mind, a couple of drivers don't have a lot of fresh sets of soft tyres. Only Norris, Verstappen, Leclerc and Sainz have fresh sets of softs. Hamilton, Russell, Gasly, Ocon, Piastri, all of these drivers, they have only used soft tyres. They don't have any fresh sets, which means that they probably are going to have to pit a little bit earlier, and they're going to be a bit of a disadvantage going off the line. So let's wait and see what happens. Also, if we look back at the start of last year, even though there's such a long straight to go down, we saw none of the drivers in third and fourth position actually be able to slipstream past. They got side by side, but then going into turn number one, they still conceded the position to the drivers in the lead. So maybe we'll see Norris and Verstappen leading the race after turn number one. Maybe we'll see Russell and Hamilton. It is hard to say. Really depends on how good of a start everyone gets. Yeah. All right, how many people have we got watching? 1,500 people. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you are enjoying the coverage, be sure to hit the like button. That would very much be appreciated. Yeah, that would be fantastic. And be sure to subscribe as well. I'll be commentating all of the upcoming races for the Austrian Grand Prix and the British Grand Prix in the next 2 weeks. Okie dokes. Just a quick summary of all of the upgrades that have been brought to this weekend. Red Bull have brought upgrades. Ferrari have brought upgrades. We have the Racing Bulls that brought upgrades. Unfortunately, they couldn't even make it through out of Q1. They brought the biggest upgrade package of the season for them, and they still got knocked out in Q1. So maybe they didn't know how to utilize the upgrades properly. But yeah, there are some issues down there at Racing Bulls. So we'll wait and see what happens. And Aston Martin brought some front suspension upgrades. So 4 teams bringing in upgrades this weekend. Apart from that, everyone just bringing minor tweaks here and there. Like the Williams team, they've both got equal parts now with Logan Sargent and Alex Albon. I don't know why Alex Albon is actually in the pit lane. I'll try and find out why he's starting in the pits. But yeah, Albon is demoted to the pit lane after... what does it say? After changing some of his power unit elements after quali. So I think Williams might have detected some sort of issue in Alex Albon's power unit, so they've decided to switch his power unit out, or switch a couple of components in the power unit at least, so they can have hopefully a DNF-free race. And that's why Alex Albon is starting from the pits. We have got... of course, Sergio Perez with a 3-place grid penalty, and apart from that, everything else is fairly standard. Alright, F1 Gamer, if you covered up all the names, do you think you could guess all the named drivers just by the statistics? I think that would be pretty hard to do. I don't think I'd be able to do that, if I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, I could guess that Logan Sargent's in 20th position, and I'd probably be right, but yeah. Alright, hello everyone in the chat. Unfortunately, I can't read out all of your messages, but yeah. Okie dokes. In fact, if you want to watch the F1 race live, then there's a link in the description. I think I might just put it in the chat for F1 TV Pro. That's going to give you all of the coverage, all the team radios, all of the data. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, then I'm just going to pin that message in the chat. There we go. F1 Gamer, do you happen to be a fan of Rocket Powered Mohawk? Here's hoping so. Either way, great channel you've made. I have seen a couple of Rocket Powered Mohawk videos, and I would like to say they are quite funny. A couple of the jokes, well, I'd say some of the jokes are funny, some of the jokes maybe a little bit too far, but overall I would get a good laugh out of watching Rocket Powered Mohawk. Who do you think is getting driver of the day? Well, that is totally difficult, unpredictable to say. It really depends. Maybe I think Piastri. I think Piastri, if he can put in a solid shift today and go from ninth up into maybe 4th or 3rd, that would be fantastic. Now, we know the McLarens have got the pace. Looking at the simulation data that we got from FP1, FP2, FP3, the McLarens are actually right on the back of the Red Bulls in terms of race pace. They're actually quicker than the Ferraris. So if McLaren can sort of stay on the back of, if Lando Norris can stay on the back of Verstappen or even stay ahead of him, then we could see Piastri gain quite a few positions, maybe get ahead of the Ferraris and Mercedes. That would be a sight to behold. I'd love to see Piastri make his way through the pack light like that. Right, where are you from? From the UK. I'm pretty sure you could tell that by my accent. Yeah. Hello, Multi Ninja. Nice to see that you're back. What did I miss? Is Checo starting 11th ahead of Alonso? Yeah, Checo got a 3-place grid penalty. He got the 3-place grid penalty in Canada for driving back to the pits with his broken rear wing. The FIA deemed it to be unsafe, which I think is fair enough. If that rear wing had fell off, then it would have just fell straight into another driver, which would not have been great. So, yeah, a 3-place grid penalty for Perez, and he's been demoted from 8th to 11th. Okay, 20 minutes now till we get underway for the race. We've got 1.6k tuned in to the live stream. Very much do appreciate the support, folks. If you are enjoying, then be sure to hit the like button, and we'll have quite a lot of action upcoming shortly. If you guys haven't... I'll just go through the strategy again, since some of you guys probably have missed it. The quickest strategy today will be a 2-stop race, drivers starting on the soft tyres, then going on to the hard tyres, and then going on to the soft tyres. Now, that strategy probably will change depending on track conditions, how much tyre wear there's going to be. So just for a little bit of information, last night it rained quite heavily in Barcelona. It rained all night, effectively. The circuit has now very much been dried up by the fact that it's been sunny all morning, and there was a Formula 2 race and there was a Formula 3 race. So the circuit's completely dry. But that means that all of the rubber that was deposited by the cars onto the track has now disappeared, which means the technical term for that, would be the circuit is green. And that just means the circuit has less grip than normal, and the drivers are going to be sliding around, especially on the opening laps, which means just more tyre wear, more sliding, more degradation, more overheating. So the soft tyres are going to be somewhat tricky to manage, especially in the first stint. I'd say by the second or third stint, everything should be fine. But for the first stint, the soft tyres are going to be tricky to manage. But you also get that advantage of being able to get a really good start and potentially get a couple of overtakes going into turn number 1. So who knows what will happen, and who knows where we'll end up, and depending on what the optimal tyre strategy is. And what the teams decide, really. I mean, I can sit here and say, oh yeah, soft, hard, soft is the quickest way to go. But if the teams see something else in the data, then I'm sure they will go for that. Right. Also, we have 66 laps of racing here, so the driver's pit stop window will be around about lap number, I'd say 14 to 17 is pit stop window for soft tyres, and then you go another 30 or so laps on the hards, and then try and do another 15 to 20 laps on a set of softs. Right. The temps are 41 degree track temperature. It's been increasing. It was 40 the start of the stream. It's now 41.6. And air temperature is still 24 degrees. So, yeah, pretty high temperatures. Right. If you talk to one of the engineers about what the driver performance engineers kind of thing, those engineers are quite careful about what they do to the drivers and how they get them to warm up. Of course, all of the drivers have their own little warm up procedure, but going into the start of the race, especially for Lando Norris here, this race start is going to be especially critical. So what they're going to be doing is that they go back through all of the years of the replays. They watch the replays of the drivers in first, in second, in third, and see what they can learn from them. So Lando Norris, I presume this morning, has been watching all of the onboards from 2021, 2022, 2023, all of them, to see where is the optimal place to put his car if he gets a good start. Where's the optimal place to put his car if he gets a bad start? Where is the other driver going to try and go? Where should I try and block him? And all of these things. are going to be going through Lando Norris's mind as he's getting ready now for the formation lap. He's not yet in the car, but he'll be getting through into the car shortly. There we go. We've got some team radio messages coming through. 16 minutes to go. 16 minutes. Possibility of weather. It is going to be totally sunny here in Barcelona. Blue skies, no sights of cloud whatsoever. And how are you doing? I'm doing great. I hope you guys are doing great as well. I'm going to have a quick sip of water, so I'll be back in just a sec. But yeah, we've got the Grand Prix starting in 15 minutes time. Is hard soft a valid strategy? Indeed it is, but you obviously make that massive trade-off that starting the race on the hard tyres, you're going to be a second slower than anyone on the soft tyres. So if we just look at in terms of the pace of each tyre respectively, when they're totally fresh, the soft tyres are half a second quicker than the mediums, and the mediums are half a second quicker than the hards. So there is a 1 second pace difference between the softs and the hards, which is not something that you want to be taking when everyone's really close to each other. Okay. What do you think the podium will look like? Ooh, well, I'm going to say there will be at least one McLaren on the podium. There will be at least a Red Bull on the podium. And I don't know who's going to be in the third driver on the podium. It'll be pretty difficult to predict who's going to come out on top. We've seen before, Lando Norris in Miami, he was able to stay ahead of Max Verstappen after the pit stop mishap, and he managed to get out ahead of Verstappen, which was fine. But we were all expecting in the Miami Grand Prix that Max Verstappen would just breeze past Norris as soon as the pit stops were finished, but that absolutely did not happen, and Lando Norris had a significant amount of pace. So maybe if Norris can hold this lead off, going into turn 1 in the first couple of laps, then we could see him actually managing to hold on to lead on sheer pace. Maybe Verstappen gets a bad start and Hamilton overtakes him going into turn 1, and Verstappen loses out, and he's got to overtake Hamilton and then overtake Norris, which would, which would, of course, cause him to lose time. But yeah, let's wait and see. Isn't there a grip problems at the curbs with the softs? The grip problem is with any sort of tyre. It's not specifically with the softs. So, Do you think McLaren or Ferrari would win the Constructors this season? Ooh, well, that's tough to say. Let's have a look at the Constructors standings. If we have a look, Red Bull are at the top with 301 points. We've got Ferrari 49 points behind them at 252. And then we have McLaren at 212. So there's a 100 point or 90 point gap between McLaren and Red Bull, and then a 50 or so point gap between Ferrari and Red Bull. Now, for Ferrari to outscore Red Bull, they've kind of got to rely on the fact that Sergio Perez is not going to have a good weekend, and Ferraris are going to be second best. They've got to be second best, otherwise they're not going to outscore Red Bull by enough points. So I would say there is a chance that Ferrari could go ahead and beat Red Bull in the Constructors if Sergio Perez continues performing poorly and Ferrari bring an upgrade or two, and that makes them quicker than McLaren. But it is... I would say the Constructors is a little bit more secure in the hands of Verstappen. I'd say the drivers, is a little bit more secure in the hands of Verstappen. The Constructors, however, it deeply does rely on Sergio Perez being able to pull his weight for the team. And, well, we'll see what he can do. At this circuit, overtaking is definitely possible. In the past 2 years, after the layout change that we had, turn number 10 was changed and the chicane was removed. After that layout change, we have doubled the amount of overtakes that we've had at this circuit. So it's definitely possible to get an overtake around here. So if Perez can progress through the field from 11th, maybe say to 4th, then that's a good shout, and it kind of shows that Perez can recover from a bad qualifying or whatever. But if not, then Perez, and then Red Bull might have a hard time holding on to that Constructors' Championship. Right. We are now 11 minutes away from the start of the race, so be sure to hit the like button, folks, and if you are enjoying, then subscribe as well. We've got 2,200 people tuned in to the coverage. Very much do appreciate it. The track isn't rubbered in because it was raining. Yeah. The rain has swept off the circuit, swept off a lot of the rubber, and that is why the track is not rubbered in. All right. Just to confirm, Alex Albon will be starting the race from the pits after I think Williams have detected some sort of issue in his power unit and they've replaced a couple of components after qualifying, and that is why Alex Albon starting from the pit lane. The risk of rain officially by the FIA has been declared at 20%. I'm going to say the risk of rain is probably 0 because the FIA are always a little bit cautious with their predictions. So yeah, it is nice and sunny out there in Barcelona. Admittedly, it did rain last night, but the forecast seems to say it is pretty dry. And there we go. We've got some more confirmation messages from Zhou and Bottas. 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes to go. Look at that. The Kick Sauber team being very prompt with their radio messaging. All right. Did it rain hard enough to undo track evolution? It certainly did. It certainly did rain hard enough to undo track evolution. Right. Ooh. Let's see. What else have we got to talk about? Oh yes, the Racing Bulls. They have brought some massive upgrade packages this weekend, and unfortunately they have been stuck in getting knocked out in Q1. They have brought, I think, floor upgrades, front wing upgrades, side pod upgrades, and rear wing upgrades. They brought the whole lot, right? And still absolutely did not get out of Q1. Not great to say the least for the Racing Bulls. Maybe they'll be quicker in race conditions, who knows? But yeah, they've got a lot of ground to make up. Also, I'd like to point out, of course, it's Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso. It's their home Grand Prix, the Spanish Grand Prix, of course, and it'll be great to see them potentially go on, score a podium maybe. I'd say it'd be pretty difficult for Alonso to score a podium given the pace of the cars ahead of him. The Aston Martin is quick in itself, but they haven't had that many upgrade packages, whereas the development war between McLaren and Mercedes and Ferrari has been going absolutely wild. The amount of upgrades that these guys have been bringing and the amount of pace that they're increasing is a sight to behold. And Aston Martin sadly haven't been able to keep up with that sort of pace of development, and that's why they're dropping a bit back through the field. Okay. All right, did Hamilton get a grid penalty? No, he didn't. He qualified in third and he's in third. Right, what is happening? In 7 minutes' time, the drivers will make their way out onto the formation lap, and then after that, we'll have the race. There's not much else to talk about, really. Oh yeah, so let's have a quick run through of the entire field, really. Well, actually, before we do that, I'll talk about the circuit. So, the circuit, of course, if you guys have been watching Formula 1 for a while now, you will have known they've changed the circuit layout. Previously, at turn number 10 was a much sharper corner, and then instead of turn 14, there was a slow chicane. So, they've got rid of the chicane, and now we have a very fast-sweeping turn 14, which the drivers do flat in quali, but I think in race conditions, they will be doing a lift. So let's go through the lap. We've got a very long start-finish straight, DRS of course, not on the opening lap, but going into turn number 1, drivers brake around about the 70-meter mark, turn the car in. It's once again a very high-speed right-hander. They go over the curbs. Turn number 2, try and go as wide out as possible without compromising your entry into turn number 3. Turn number 3, another high-speed right-hander. Turn number 4, the drivers they go under a bridge, start braking under the bridge, and then hit the apex, get a good exit out for turn number 5, which is a left-hander. And turn number 5, one of those harder corners, because the teams have sort of set up the car for right-handers. Because if you look at the circuit, turn number 1, a medium-speed right-hander. Turn number 3, a high-speed right-hander. Turn number 4, a medium-speed right-hander. Turn number 9, a high-speed right-hander. Turn number 13, turn number 14, both high-speed right-handers. So this is one of the rare occasions where the teams can go for an asymmetrical setup. They can go for slightly more grip on right-hand corners than left-hand corners. So this is what caught out Oscar Piastri yesterday. He was turning into turn number 3 and getting a certain amount of grip. And then once he goes into turn number 10, which is a left-hand corner, he does not get the same amount of grip because of the fact that the car's been set up in such a way that they have more grip on right-hand corners than they do on left-hand corners. And Piastri ended up going wide at turn number 10 because of it. So all of these high-speed corners that are right-handers has meant the teams use an asymmetrical setup for the Spanish Grand Prix, which is a one-off thing. Usually the drivers, the setup is mostly symmetrical, mainly for the choice of the comfort of the drivers, because it becomes quite difficult to predict if you're turning into one corner and you have this much grip, and then you turn into another corner and you just don't have the same amount of grip, even though you're going at the same speed, same everything. But yeah, so turn number 4, another medium speed corner. The drivers just hit the apex and get a good exit, run out as wide as possible. There's gravel on the exit there. Turn number 5, once again, gravel around the exit, and they go towards turn number 6, a little kink in the road. 7 and 8, the curbs are quite vicious there, especially on the mid corner of 8. The drivers have to be very, very careful not to go over the curbs, otherwise they'll get a bit of airtime. Turn number 9, at that point you're going to be going, in the race conditions, you're going to lift a little bit because you do not want to be wearing out your front left tire as much as that much. So you lift through turn number 9, and then DRS down the straight towards turn number 10. Quite a lot of overtaking opportunities at 10 that you can sort of battle your way through 11 and 12. And then turn number 13 and 14, very much single file corners. They are so high speed. And once again, you're going to lift a little bit because you do not want to wear out your front left tire. I'm going to be talking about the front left tire a lot. And if you want to play a drinking game, then you might as well play a drinking game for every time I mention the front left tire. Because it really does take a beating around this circuit, and the amount of overheating that it single-handedly takes is, nothing to underestimate, really. And the drivers have to be very, very careful of not overheating the front left, otherwise they'll be losing a whole lot of time. Right. Here we go then, 3 minutes away from the start of the formation lap. We have the tyre information coming through. Everyone is starting the race on the soft tyres, apart from Lewis Hamilton on the mediums. Alex Albon is also on the mediums. Everyone else is on the soft tyres. Interesting choice there from Lewis Hamilton. 8-lap-old medium tyres as well. So Hamilton really, I think he's going to be going for medium hard, medium strategy, or maybe softs right at the end. Oh no. Okay, well that's just updated. Now Hamilton's going to be starting the race on the softs. It's just switched from the mediums to the softs. I will confirm what tyre Lewis Hamilton is actually on, because we had a little mishap yesterday where it said Charles Leclerc was coming out on the wet tyres, which was clearly wrong. So I will just double check. But no, I think Mercedes have sent a team radio message to Russell saying everyone's on the softs. So I think everyone is on the softs, yeah. Right. Here we go then. From the back of the pack, we have got Alex Albon starting from the pit lane with his engine issue. We've got Logan Sargent in 19th. Both drivers with equal cars, no different upgrades this weekend around, so we'll wait and see who comes out on top. We've got Yuki Tsunoda, Daniel Ricciardo, both of them struggling after a massive upgrade package for Racing Bulls has not worked out in their favour. Then we've got Kevin Magnussen in 16th, Guan Yu Zhou in 15th, both drivers without a seat in 2025. We've got Lance Stroll in 14th. He's going to have a seat at Aston Martin for sure, since his dad owns the team. We've got Nico Hülkenberg, who's got a drive confirmed for Audi in 2026. Valtteri Bottas in 12th. He's done a good job there in that Sauber. Let's wait and see if he can go up into the pack. We've got Sergio Perez with a 3-place grid penalty. from the Canadian Grand Prix. He's going to be starting in 11th. Fernando Alonso in 10th at his home Grand Prix for the 21st occasion. I'd like to point out Alonso's raced at the Spanish Grand Prix 21 times throughout his career, and here he is once again. We've got Oscar Piastri in 9th position, Esteban Ocon in 8th, Pierre Gasly in 7th, both Alpines performing very, very well and a lot better than expected. Then we've got the two Ferraris in 5th and 6th, the two Mercedes in 3rd and 4th, and then the front row itself, Lando Norris versus Max Verstappen. Let's wait and see what happens. The drivers are getting ready for the formation lap. We've got 40 seconds to go till they make their way around, start heating up their tyres, warming up the engines and getting the clutch dialed in for the most optimal race start possible. Here we go then. Let's get ready to go racing. There we go. Max Verstappen makes his way out onto the circuit, so does Lando Norris. Right, everyone just making their way around. We're going to have some pretty good racing on our hands. Okie dokes then. Look at that. Max Verstappen really pushing Lando Norris. Quite strange. Don't normally see that. But yeah, maybe trying to play some mind games. They're trying to get in Lando Norris's head before the start of the Grand Prix. Right, the data I think is going to freeze for a couple of seconds. I've just got a little warning pop up. So the data will freeze and then it'll be back. So just hang in there until everything is a-okay. Alright, let's get rid of that little thing that says formation lap is underway. There we go. Alright, so here we have it then. The formation lap is underway and the drivers are getting ready to go racing. We've got 6,600 people tuned into live stream. Be sure to hit the like button, folks. It really does help out the channel, and hopefully we can hit the like target. I think we've already hit the like target, actually. Yeah, we have. Oh, the data's frozen again. It'll be back in just a second. Oh, 7,500 people. That is crazy. That has gone up by 1,000. Okay, so we'll have the Grand Prix, 66 laps of racing, guaranteed two-stop race. We're going to have a whole lot of tyre wear, a whole lot of strategy, and double the overtaking that we had last year, which is going to make it very, very exciting indeed. The Spanish fans are going absolutely wild. The amount of Spanish flags in the stands is crazy. And there we go. We've got Lando Norris lining up to start the race. Okie dokes. Here we go. Thank you for the donation, Exoteric, $2. Can we get a quick weather update? It is totally dry, and there are more clouds than there were earlier, and the FIA have said the risk of rain is 20%. I checked the weather myself. The risk of rain seemed more like 5-10%, but yeah, that's the weather update. I'm going to have a quick sip of water just before we get ready because my throat is going to start hurting otherwise, but we're going to have a whole lot of racing on our hands here. So, yeah, just here we go. Oh, in fact, the green flag is being waved. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and it is lights out, and away we go. Lando Norris gets a great start, cuts across Max Verstappen going into turn 1. Max Verstappen all over the grass. His left tire is going to be very, very dirty, and we've got someone going round the outside. Is that George Russell? George Russell goes round the outside of Lando Norris going into turn 1. What a move from George Russell. Absolutely sensational, and Norris has lost the position to Verstappen, and Russell's in the lead of this race. What a start, and Verstappen's in second place, Hamilton in fourth, and we make it through. Everyone has made it through unscathed. What Wow. Okay. Russell up 3 places, Lando Norris down 2, and Max Verstappen holds position in 2nd place. Okie dokes. Here we go then, up the hill, Sergio Perez still in 10th. He loses the position to Nico Hülkenberg, in fact, as he makes his way into the middle sector. Alex Albon has just come out of the pits there, and he's going to be catching up to the back of the pack. Great start there from George Russell, and as now everyone makes their way through into the middle sector, Max Verstappen is within 1 second. Lando Norris is also within 1 second of Max Verstappen, so it looks like we're going to have a DRS train on our hands, but we've got now Lance Stroll going round the outside of Valtteri Bottas. What a move, and he's really found grip out there on the outside of the circuit, and Stroll gets round Valtteri Bottas. Both Aston Martin's now in 12th and 13th, but Russell leads the way coming down the main straight with Max Verstappen in his mirrors. DRS will be enabled on the following lap, and now let's wait and see what he can do. There we go. Both drivers, in fact, both Russell and Verstappen are on used sets of soft tyres. Lando Norris was starting on a fresh set, but he decided to back out of it going into turn 1. He did not want to lose positions and get damage. So Verstappen was to his right, George Russell was to his left, and Lando Norris was like, right, I'm out of here. I'm not gonna get any damage in the middle of a sandwich, and decided to back out of it. So that's what's happened, and because of that, he's lost 2 positions. But who knows? You know, if he didn't back out of it, maybe it would have been a DNF. It is hard to say. But George Russell in the lead of this race. George Russell, before he was giving an interview at the start of this weekend, being like, I can really feel a victory coming in this Mercedes, and I'm going to be pushing to the absolute limits to try and get a victory, and maybe that'll mean I get a couple more mistakes, but I think it is worth it to try and get that win. So George Russell now in the lead of this race. He took a risky choice, trying to go around the outside at turn number 1. That's famously not worked. Normally you just get tapped off onto the gravel, and you lose 2-3 places. But Lando Norris played it safe this time, and George Russell's risky behaviour has paid off. Coming down the straight then, here we go, side by side between Russell and Verstappen gets the overtake done into turn number 1. They came over the radio saying to Verstappen, this is your best opportunity. Russell goes really defensive. Verstappen tries it around the outside. Russell is very, very clean there and does not tap Verstappen off into the gravel. So a good move there by Max Verstappen. Now let's wait and see if George Russell can come right back at him, because we've got turn number 9 and then a DRS zone following that. So yeah, let's wait and see. Here we go then. George Russell, he has already dropped the 1 second from Max Verstappen. He's already a second behind Verstappen. Verstappen purple in the first sector. Of course, that's because of the slipstream that he got down the main straight. But yeah, a really quick first sector there from Max Verstappen. He's already built that gap out to George Russell, which isn't great to say the least, but let's wait and see what happens. We've still got 63 laps left to go. There we go, a fastest lap of the race from Max Verstappen, a 1:19.3, and Russell there just within the DRS range, 0.991, but unfortunately wasn't close enough during the detection point, so he might not be able to get DRS here. Lando Norris, however, will get DRS on George Russell, and the drivers in 2nd, 3rd and 4th are all British, and we might have a bit of inter-British rivalry here. Yeah. Oh, there has been a turn 1 incident noted between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, forcing another driver off the track. I don't know exactly what the FIA is talking about, but let's wait and see. There's been a bit of inter-Ferrari drama. Both Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc not particularly pleased. Leclerc saying, Carlos closed the door on me, and if you notice, they have switched position. Carlos Sainz was in 6th, he's now up in 5th, and Leclerc, who was in 5th, is now down in 6th. Seems like the Ferraris have overtaken each other on the opening lap, and now they're over the radio complaining to their engineer, saying, Leclerc's complaining, saying, Carlos closed the door, he should let me past, and Sainz is like, oh, it doesn't matter, it was fine, it's just racing. So we'll see what outcome comes out of there. But it's clear to see, you know, there is a number 1 Ferrari driver, which is Charles Leclerc, and a number 2, which is Carlos Sainz. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But Lando Norris, look at that, right on the back there of George Russell, even down the main straight. So I think on the following lap, he'll get DRS and he'll be close enough to maybe make a move on Russell. And given the fact that Norris is really closing up on Russell here, we could have a chance of Norris chasing down Max Verstappen. But yeah, Carlos Sainz has got a lap time deleted for turn number 2. For exceeding track limits at turn number 2. So yeah, 3 of those, and then he could get a warning. And Ferraris are battling once again. Instead of working together to catch up to the Mercedes, they're fighting against each other. And Charles Leclerc is trying to get past Carlos Sainz. Classic Ferrari, to say the least. But what can you do? What can you do? Also, we've hit 1,000 likes. That is very, very fantastic. Very much do appreciate the support, folks. How many people? 10,000 people have tuned in to the coverage. That is absolutely fantastic. And I hope you guys are enjoying. Right, here we go then. You know, as much as I'd like to say, yeah, let's play the anthem for Max Verstappen. Lando Norris is right on the back here of George Russell, and even with DRS, he closes the gap up a little bit. But I think as these soft tyres wear out for George Russell, these soft tyres, because his tyres are 3 laps older at the start of this race, soft tyres are going to wear out quicker than Norris is, so maybe Norris will have an opportunity to make a move for a little bit later on in the stint. Lando Norris, he pushed Max Verstappen onto the grass, and I definitely remember that happening, and so the FIA is going to have a look into that. But I think since Norris lost the position anyway, it's not going to matter, because there's no point penalising someone who's already lost the position that they were fighting for. Fernando Alonso, which got a replay of the start here, and he got a really good start and swooped around the outside, but then had to end up going wide. Looks like he got a bit of contact from behind, so yeah, not good. All right, how is Stroll so fast? I don't know. Maybe I think maybe in Alonso's contact he ended up losing out. Maybe he got a bit of damage there. But looking at the replay, George Russell went far too defensive, far too early. I think Russell probably could work on his racecraft a little bit there. And Carlos Sainz, closed the door on Charles Leclerc and then sort of got the position. He's going to be under investigation for leaving the circuit and gaining an advantage. So maybe they'll swap positions, maybe they won't. But that little mess is still going on with Ferrari, and that's fairly typical, isn't it? All right, Lando Norris, he's within 1 second of George Russell, and Hamilton is within 1 second of Lando Norris. Let's wait and see what happens of that. But further down the pack, Alex Albon has already overtaken Logan Sargent. Albon on tyres that are half a second slower than Logan Sargent, and also starting from the pit lane, so being, I think 5-10 seconds behind the pack when the race started. He still managed to overtake Logan Sargent, so I think it's fair to say that Alex Albon definitely deserves that seat, and Logan Sargent has got is either going to be leaving very, very soon, and replaced by Carlos Sainz potentially, with I don't know who else, maybe Kimi Antonelli. Sergio Perez, however, is firmly sat in 11th position, not gaining any points whatsoever, not gaining any positions, stuck behind Nico Hulkenberg, out of all people. Given that he's in a Red Bull, that really should not be happening, but it is Sergio Perez after all, and he hasn't been on the best form of late, so who knows? who knows what will happen. We've got Valtteri Bottas, who made a very nice overtake on Fernando Alonso, and Alonso just losing place after place. And I have a feeling that Alonso got a bit of damage when that contact happened on the opening lap, because Alonso's lost the position to Stroll, he's lost the position to Bottas as well, and that's not too typical there of Alonso. The two Ferraris still battling away. The gap between the two drivers is 0.7 of a second as they activate DRS going down the back straight. And Lando Norris is within DRS of George Russell, but still unable to get a move done, and it's going to be a while before that actually happens, because his tyres are going to wear out soon enough, and he's going to be struggling for grip. Okay, there's no further investigation between Carlos Sainz for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So, the position remains as it is, 5th and 6th for Sainz and Leclerc, respectively. All right. Also, I'd like to point out, this is kind of an interesting stat, but from the Spanish Grand Prix in 2016, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton combined have won 80% of Formula One Grand Prix since the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix, which is quite the surprising stat. Well, not surprising. I would say it's fairly expected given the factor, given their dominance. But still goes to show the sheer dominance that these two drivers have had since 2016 Spanish Grand Prix. They have won 80% of the races, both of them combined. All right, Lando Norris, he's activating the DRS, but this is the thing. He's coming through turn number 9/10 behind George Russell. So even with the DRS, he gains maybe 1/10 from the DRS, and then not that much from the slipstream. And since he's conserving his tyres as well, it's going to be very, very difficult for Lando Norris to gain anything. And then as he goes through 13, as he goes through 14, the gap is 0.8 of a second, and it's just hovering around about there. The DRS flap opens, it's 0.9 currently, and by the end of the straight, it will maybe drop down to 7/10, 6/10. Yeah, there we go, 6/10 coming into turn number 1, and it doesn't get any closer. So Norris is just bouncing between 6/10 and 9/10 behind George Russell. Okay, how is Checo still stuck behind Hulkenberg? No clue whatsoever. And if it continues going like this, Ferrari will get closer and closer in the constructors. Now Verstappen, he will get probably 26 points today. He'll get the race, maybe even the fastest lap. If we're being honest, given the fact that Russell has now also dropped off the back of Verstappen, we'll wait and see. Maybe there's a strategy bundle. Maybe there's something that happens, which it very likely could, given the fact there's a 50% chance of a safety car and a 25% chance of a virtual safety car. The drivers gain 10 seconds pitting under the safety car, so that is more than enough time. If Russell and Norris can get into the pits under the safety car and Verstappen can't because he's too far ahead, then we could see something like that happen. But yeah, it's going to be pretty tough for anyone else to win. So not the most exciting thing that I would have hoped for. To be fair, everyone else is very, very close. Russell, Norris, Hamilton, Sainz, Leclerc, all within 4 seconds of each other. So it's not exactly totally boring. But yeah, no overtakes as of yet. The tension has just been building. Carlos Sainz, in fact, has now finally closed the gap up to Hamilton. Hamilton seems like he maybe made a mistake or two and has just dropped off the back of Norris. But yeah, Carlos Sainz finally closes up, and we've had a couple of pit stops here. Yuki Tsunoda and Guan Yu Zhou, both drivers, have made a pit stop. Guan Yu Zhou, in fact, goes purple in the middle sector on a fresh set of mediums. Really goes to show you how much those soft tyres have worn out. We've got 42-degree track temperature, and the soft tyres are feeling the heat, really. So we've got Magnussen as well into the pits on this occasion, and the medium tyres seem to be the most optimal race tyre here because of the high temperatures. So let's see what Sainz can do. Sainz can close up potentially to the back of Hamilton now. Both Mercedes are being chased down, one by a McLaren and one by a Ferrari. There's also a very solid chance of an undercut. Given the fact that Guan Yu Zhou has done a purple middle sector on a set of fresh mediums, there is a solid chance Lando Norris can, pit one lap earlier than George Russell, bolt on a set of medium tyres, and then just go. And potentially overtake George Russell through the pits and even close up the gap a little bit to Max Verstappen. So let's keep an eye out for the strategy. The pit stop window is upcoming. We've got probably, I think it's lap number 14 to lap number 17 is when the soft tyre runners should be coming into the pits. So let's wait and see what happens. Right. I'm going to have a quick sip of water, folks. I'll be back in just a second. Oh, Fernando Alonso has made another mistake here. Going onto the gravel a little bit. I think, I don't know, maybe that mistake was caused. So, Fernando Alonso was previously behind... Bottas has come into the pits and come out on a set of soft tyres. Interesting. Fernando Alonso was behind Bottas before Bottas came into the pits. And what happened there? Bottas went a little wide on the exit of turn number 13, and Fernando Alonso just followed him right off, like not completely off, but he dipped a wheel or two into the gravel on the exit of turn number 13. So this is another thing that we see. On these high-speed, flowy corners, especially on the very long ones, like turn 13, like turn 12, you quite often see the driver, because they're unable to actually see the apex of the following corner, like they can't see the exit apex, the drivers kind of focus on just the car ahead of them, and if the car ahead of them makes a little mistake, like Valtteri Bottas did, he was millimeters away from the gravel. Fernando Alonso, following the car ahead of him, also was... he was a little bit more than millimeters away from the gravel. He was right over the gravel. Fernando Alonso got to keep his eyes peeled, and it does not look like the Aston Martin's particularly stable here, given the fact that he's been struggling for grip. I think Kevin Magnussen has been noted for a false start. Kevin Magnussen has been noted for a false start. Maybe he'll get a penalty, maybe he won't, but we'll have a look. All right. We've got Sergio Perez. He's finally made the overtake on Nico Hülkenberg, and then Nico Hülkenberg came into the pits. Maybe with those fresh medium tyres, he'll be able to undercut Sergio Perez. We'll have to wait and see. But Perez has got a bit of clean air, 2.5 seconds ahead of him now, to potentially push a little bit more. All right, Esteban Ocon now coming into the pits. This is the other thing. Lando Norris could... Lando Norris could come into the pits, but the issue with that is that if he comes out into traffic, there is no way that he's going to be able to pull off an undercut. So he's really got to look out for a clean window, and it's 22.5 seconds the driver's losing the pits. So if he does come out into the pits now, he's going to come out just behind Fernando Alonso, just ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. So I would expect... I think Norris are waiting for both Aston Martins to come into the pits, and then they will carry out their pit stops. So let's wait and see. What will happen. We've got Sergio Perez into the pits as well. He's done his pit stop. He comes out on another set of soft tyres. Interesting choice there, going for a double soft strategy, especially with such high track temperature. I would not expect that to work, but if it is, I'm sure they've got the data, and they know much better than me what's going to work and what's not. So it's looking good for the Red Bulls, yeah. Look at that. All right, we've got Pierre Gasly into the pits now. Pitting. Pierre Gasly was ahead of Piastri, and Piastri still unable to get ahead of the Alpines. Esteban Ocon into the pits and Gasly. So Piastri unable to get those overtakes done as well, which is a bit surprising there. I would have expected, given that Lando Norris is still right on the back of Russell, a bit more pace from Piastri and managing to get an overtake done on an Alpine. Given the fact that Alpine are also down on power, they're 15-20 horsepower down compared to everyone else. So I would have expected them to be able to make it through, but clearly not. Interesting, very, very interesting what's going on there. Max is waiting for Russell to spit. Indeed he is, and he's probably waiting for a pit stop window as well. If Max Verstappen comes out of the pits now, there's a very good chance that he gets involved with Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso, which is, which is going to cause some issues. Okay, a 5-second penalty has been given to Kevin Magnussen for the false start. So he started the race a little bit, I think maybe a split second too early, and a 5-second penalty has been dished out because of that. Also, folks, we are getting very close to 74,000 subscribers, so if you are enjoying the coverage, then be sure to hit the like button. I will be commentating to the end of this race, obviously, and I'll be commentating all of the sprint weekend for Usher. So I'll be doing FP1, the sprint quali, sprint race, actual quali and the actual race. I have a little bit more time on my hands, especially on that Friday, so I'm going to do FP1 and the sprint quali. So there we go. Alright, we've got George Russell and Carlos Sainz both coming into the pits now, both out on medium tyres. Russell ahead of Sainz, but the gap is very, very close there. It seems like Russell might have had a bit of a slow pit stop. Russell locking his brakes going into the pit lane, and then as he came into the pits, is it a slow stop for George Russell? By the looks of it, it is, because Carlos Sainz right on the back of him. Yeah, it was slow for Russell, and that's why Carlos Sainz managed to close up so much. But that means now when Lando Norris comes into the pits, Lando Norris probably will come out ahead as long as he comes in soon enough. Yeah, let's wait and see. George Russell, look at that purple through the middle sector. Lando Norris has really got to start pushing here if he's gonna come out ahead of Russell. They're coming over the radios telling what time he did on the previous occasion, but yeah, Lando Norris half a second quicker than Max Verstappen on the previous lap. So yeah, Norris doing a good job there, and it seems like the McLaren has got some pace. Especially, it seems like it's quite nice on his tyres. We've had quite a few early pit stops, and look at that, so many people switching around as the pit stops are occurring, and George Russell holding that 6th position. Sainz is in 7th. Then we've got Alonso in 8th. He's still yet to pit. Hamilton out in 9th, ahead of both of the Alpines, which is fair enough. And yeah, but we're reaching the end of the pit stop window now. So let's wait and see what happens. They've told Sergio Perez that overtake is available. He's 2.5 seconds behind the Alpines, but if he can pull off a nice overtake, then that would be great. Hamilton gets past, I think it's Fernando Alonso. Yeah, nicely done there from Lewis Hamilton. Now he's on the back of Carlos Sainz. Alright, Max Verstappen comes into the pits. Lando Norris takes the lead of the race, and Charles Leclerc takes the lead, takes 2nd place, and McLaren are going to try and do an overcut maybe. Their tyres are working quite well, and we could potentially have a bit of an overcut working out for the McLarens. There is also quite a bit of action going on in the midfield, quite a lot of overtakes, so if there is a little crash or a spin, we could have a virtual safety car, and that could work out in McLaren's favour. They've told Lance Stroll to box this lap, and there he goes, he's into the pits, and I suspect Fernando Alonso will be coming in very, very soon as well. But Max Verstappen is out on the medium tyres as expected. They're working quite well for everyone, and with track temperature now coming down and the cloud cover increasing, we could see the medium tyres coming into play rather than the hards. Okay, we're on lap number 18 of 66, 49 laps remain, and yeah, let's wait and see what happens. Verstappen, though, still with the fastest lap, and he hasn't improved on his previous fastest lap, still going slower than his the lap that he overtook George Russell. So the gap between Norris and Verstappen is 17.3 seconds, so when he comes into the pits, he is going to well, he's going to lose out. He's going to be 5 seconds behind Verstappen, which is around about what it was when he came into when Verstappen pit originally. So Norris hasn't lost that much time yet, but he is lapping slower. Look at that. George Russell a 119.5, Lando Norris a 120.4. So Norris, if he did pit right behind George Russell, then he would have probably overtaken him because Russell had a slow stop, but that has not worked out. And look at that, Lewis Hamilton overtakes Carlos Sainz going into the opening corner of the lap, and a very nice overtake there done from Lewis Hamilton. The Merc just with the DRS and the slipstream managing to get ahead of Carlos Sainz, and I'd say a very nice overtake there. And it's going to do wonders for his tyres not being stuck behind the Ferrari and having a bit of clean air ahead of him. Unfortunately, Carlos Sainz losing a position at his home Grand Prix. Yeah, not great to say the least, but Hamilton does get a nice overtake done. And he does go down the inside, and Carlos Sainz cannot do much about it. Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Hamilton's going to be over the... Oh, no, sorry. I'm sure Sainz is going to be over the radio saying he pushed me off the circuit, because Hamilton kind of did, a little nudge onto the dirty part of the circuit. So maybe there's some sort of penalty there, but I think it would be a bit harsh for that to happen. All right, look at that. Lewis Hamilton 119.3, Max Verstappen 119.7. So we'll wait and see if this overcut works, but it's looking less and less likely, with the lap times slowly creeping up for the soft tyre. And as Charles Leclerc 121.0, Oscar Piastri 121.7. I think maybe these guys are just holding out for a safety car at this point, because their lap times, they're losing maybe 1 second, maybe 2 seconds a lap against the medium tyre runners. Can Albon finish the race with a set of hard tyres? Well, Albon isn't out on a set of hard tyres, he's out on a set of softs, I think. Yeah, he's only done 18 laps on his mediums, comes in for a set of soft tyres. But with 46 laps remaining, it would be a bit of a stretch. I'd say 30 laps and you could do it on a set of hards. Yeah, 36 laps you could probably do a set on hards, but 46 is pushing it a bit too far, given the fact that this circuit is very, very punishing on its tyres. Okay. We're reaching now 1/3 of the way through the race. We've had one pit stop for everyone apart from Norris, Leclerc and Piastri. And Verstappen is still in the net lead of this race, and in fact he's right on the back of Piastri here. And as they go into turn number 1, Piastri is looking in his mirrors. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, Verstappen gets it's not turn number 1. Verstappen gets the overtake done going into turn number 7. Just an amazing move, to be honest. Piastri, of course, not fighting it much. His tyres are so old. There's no point fighting against Max Verstappen with a fresh set of mediums. But yeah, the Leclerc has been told over the radio to do a 20.0 as a reference. But Charles Leclerc's best lap was a 20.5. So I don't know where Ferrari are going with this, trying to tell Leclerc to do 20.0s. Yeah, Sainz is over the radio. He's hoping to get a position from Hamilton from race control when they say that it was an unfair overtake, but seems like that's a bit unlikely. Yeah, it's just been noted by the FIA. Nothing too serious. Piastri finally does come into the pits after 24 laps on those soft tyres. He comes out onto the pits. Comes out the pits in 10th position behind Sergio Perez. So, yeah, really losing out positions there for Piastri. The overcut has not worked, and he would have been ahead of Perez, but now he is in fact behind him. So an unfortunate strategy choice by McLaren, and I feel the same thing is going to happen to Lando Norris unless there's a safety car or a virtual safety car or something along those lines. It's going to be very tough for for Lando Norris to retain that lead or even retain second or third place. I have a feeling once he comes into the pits, Lewis Hamilton will be behind him. In fact, yeah, once he comes into pits, he'll be behind Sainz. It is not looking good there for Lando Norris, and the same for Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc is potentially even going to be behind, Gasly and Ocon if he gets a slow stop. So not great there. Daniel Ricciardo has overtaken Yuki Tsunoda. I don't know exactly when that happened, but yeah. Ricciardo getting ahead of Tsunoda, and I think that's quite important for Ricciardo's mental clarity, mental sake really, because he's been having a bit of a tough time, and the media's not been particularly nice to him either, and he's got to just get his head down really and put in some solid performances for the upcoming weekends. Fernando Alonso has got DRS on Kevin Magnussen, gets a nice overtake done going into turn number 1, so good job there from Fernando Alonso. And yeah, right, I'm going to have a quick sip of water and I shall be back. Right. There we go. Lando Norris finally comes into the pits. Let's see where he comes out, but I think it's pretty clear to see he's going to be coming out behind Sainz, behind Hamilton, and behind Russell as well. There we go. And Charles Leclerc still hanging out there on his very, very old soft tyres, and yeah, strategy has not been the best thing that's worked out for Charles Leclerc. Maybe, there is, of course, a second stint to do, so potentially we could see in the second pit stops that the other team mess it up and everything evens out, but that would be pretty tough to say. Well, pretty unlikely to happen, really. Sergio Perez still unable to catch up to Esteban Ocon. He is sat there in 9th position, unable to gain any places. And I think in this current position, I think Ferrari will still gain less points than... Yeah, Ferrari will still gain less points in the constructors compared to McLaren, compared to Red Bull, and compared to McLaren, they'll gain a couple more. But Mercedes, I think, the big winners of this weekend. They are going to be doing exceptionally well, and it looks like they're going to be in 2nd and 3rd position. And there we go. Charles Leclerc finally comes into the pits, and the Mercs are in 2nd and 3rd, which is a very big surprise. In Canada, they sort of found this pace out of nowhere, and then here they are now in Spain, and the pace is still with them. It wasn't a one-off thing, and it worked in qualifying, it worked in the race, and here they are in 2nd and 3rd position, and that's going to be a very big points haul for the Mercedes team, a double podium if it continues like this. Now, I'm speaking a little bit early. We've still got 42 laps remaining, so that's nearly half the race left. Well, more than half the race left, in fact, but it's looking good for Mercedes. They haven't been in this position for a very, very long time, so I'm sure the team would be pleased regardless. Yeah. All right. Let's wait and see then what happens. Oh, we've hit our like target. That is fantastic. I guess I can increase that now to 2,000, but very much to appreciate all the support, folks. And we are getting pretty close to 74k, which is fantastic. Yeah, how many subscribers away are we? 106 subscribers. Oh, look at that. Lando Norris, purple lap there. Purple 3rd sector, and he's right on the back of Carlos Sainz. So we know the McLaren is quick, and potentially we could see a couple overtakes here. He could definitely overtake Sainz. I don't know about overtaking Lewis Hamilton, because Norris was stuck behind Russell, and Russell and Hamilton in the same car yesterday in quali. They were 2 milliseconds apart. So if Norris found it difficult to overtake Russell, he's going to find it fairly difficult to overtake Hamilton as well. The medium tyres can do around about 32 laps. That's probably the maximum Pirelli have recommended for the medium tyres. So 32 laps is as long as the mediums can go. So we've still got a while till the next pit stops come through, and it all depends really on the tyre temperature. But air temperature has cooled down. Well, it's actually still 24, and track temperature's gone up a bit as well. So it really depends on the weather and how sunny it is. Yeah. Right. Let's wait and see. Oh, we've had have they switched positions there at Williams? I think they've just switched positions. Maybe it's different strategies, but they've. It seemed like over the radio they told Sargent to let Albon by, which is interesting. All right, Charles Leclerc gets the overtake done on Pierre Gasly. Nicely done there from Charles Leclerc, overtaking the Alpine driver. And now he's up into 6th position. And Lando Norris is right there now on the back of Lewis Hamilton. He's slowly but surely closing the gap. And I think in a couple laps time, we'll see what he can do. And oh yeah, Norris, of course, he overtook Carlos Sainz, which is pretty good. I haven't got a replay of that, in fact. I think I missed it. But yeah, Lando Norris, another fastest lap of the race. So we are, yeah, maybe he will catch up to the back of Hamilton. But looking at the lap times now, his lap time only a 10th quicker than Hamilton on the previous lap. So I think the pace difference between the Mercedes and the McLaren is just too small for Lando Norris to actually get enough of an advantage to overtake. So let's wait and see. Russell 6.5 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Verstappen still in the lead, cruising away. And yeah. Right, we've got 16,000 people tuned into the coverage. Very much to appreciate it, folks. 16,000 people. What a ridiculous number. Yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you are enjoying the coverage. And hopefully you guys haven't got any adverts either. I've messed around with the YouTube settings, which means that I've been able to switch off the adverts, hopefully. And you guys don't... I think you get an advert when you start the stream, which I can't do anything about because YouTube just loves adverts. But then during the live stream, you guys should not be getting any adverts. And if you do, then do let me know because I'll try and switch them off. No ads so far. Brilliant. All right, Oscar Piastri on the back of Esteban Ocon now. I think did he get an overtake done on Sergio Perez, sorry. Yeah. Right. But yeah, Piastri now catching up to the back of the Alpines, and I think given the pace advantage that he does have now, he was a full second quicker on the previous lap compared to Ocon. And look at that, the pace difference as well. The tyre wear difference. Piastri 8 lap fresher tyres compared to Esteban Ocon, so that should be more than enough for him to get an advantage. You know, in the first stint, both of them had the same fresh tyres, but now Piastri has that little bit extra advantage. And there we go, with the DRS, with the slipstream, he overtook Sergio Perez. He's done the exact same move on Esteban Ocon. Okie dokes. Here comes Lando Norris then on the previous lap. He goes 4/10 quicker than Lewis Hamilton, and yeah, the overcuts seem to work out. Of course, they lose out time initially, but here they are now with fresher tyres than the competition and maybe just enough pace to get them past. I don't want to spark too much excitement or anything like that, but the clouds are looking quite grey out here in Barcelona. The predicted chance of rain was 20%, and currently over the circuit it is blue skies, but in the distance there are very, very grey clouds, which is, well, if it's anything like Canada, it would be brilliant. Verstappen's over the radio saying the tyres are very inconsistent, which is interesting. I don't know exactly how tyres can be inconsistent because they are, of course, the same amount of rubber everywhere. So, yeah, don't know what's up with Yuki Tsunoda. Well, I know what's up with Yuki Tsunoda. He's come into the pits, so has Valtteri Bottas for their second pit stop. They've come in for the hard tyres. And that is why they are at the back of the pack. Alright, the rain would be a game changer. Indeed it would. I would request, if we have 16,000 people doing a rain dance, then maybe the rain will fall in Barcelona. That would be spectacular. The live radio text is so amazing. Thank you very much. Do appreciate it, buddy. Yeah. Right. Let's see what else is going on then. Lando Norris, he's closed the gap to Lewis Hamilton. And here we go then. He has got, on the previous lap, he matches lap times with Lewis Hamilton. Half a second is the gap. He comes out of the final corner. He's closer than he has ever been. DRS has been activated. Hamilton hasn't got DRS off George Russell ahead of him. And here they go into turn number 1. 3/10 is the gap. 2/10 is the gap. Norris looks to the inside and he decides not to go for it on this occasion. It would be a little bit too risky, but he is right on Hamilton's tail. Maybe even going into turn number 10, he could get an overtake done there. He's really pushing Hamilton to the limits. If Mercedes wanted to play a little team game, they could tell Russell to back off just for a little bit, so Russell could give Hamilton some DRS. That way, both Mercedes stay in second and third. But yeah, we'll wait and see. If the Mercs will do that, then it'll be brilliant. If not, then we could see Lando Norris overtaking both of them. Now, this is the question. If Hamilton can hold off Norris for as long as possible, if he can hold him off for like 3-4 laps, that's going to overheat his tyres, wear his tyres out more, and Norris is not going to have to worry, and then they're not going to have to worry about much. But it is a little bit of a risky strategy there, trying to wait for your competitors to wear out their tyres. Is Russell slowing down? Well, it's hard to say really, isn't it? But the gap is just above 1 second. If Russell even comes off the throttle even the tiniest amount, we could see Hamilton get DRS, but he does not. And here comes Lando Norris once again. 3/10 is the gap now as they go. 1/10 is the gap side by side down the main straight. Lando Norris comes out ahead and going into turn number 1. Who's got the lead? It is Lando Norris. What a move. Hamilton tried his absolute best to defend there, and it looks like he's going to try again to re-overtake him, but with the older tyres, it looks like it's going to be particularly difficult there for the British driver. And now Lando Norris has got another British driver in his sights. Of George Russell, and potentially could get that second place right back off him. So yeah, I think there was someone in the chat saying my strategy was very short-sighted, thinking that now the fresh tyres for Lando Norris are really going to help out, and my friend, you are correct. That strategy has really worked out there, and I think for Piastri as well, he's going to be on the back of Gasly now, and same thing again. Gasly, his tyres are 7 laps older than Piastri's, and we could see Piastri now gain a couple of places against Gasly and Leclerc. So now let's wait and see. 1.1 seconds is the gap between Norris and Russell. It's already down to 1 second. And here they are coming out of the final corner. It's just under 1 second, but Lando Norris wasn't close enough at the detection point. So there we go. Sergio Perez out on a set of medium tyres. I mean, Pirelli said the maximum you could do on a set of mediums is 35 laps. So Perez is out on a medium with 34 laps left to go. And to be fair, he's set a purple middle sector as well. So it's really not been working out that well for him, but he's been doing well. Oh, we've hit our subscriber goal. That is fantastic. 74k. That is, wow. Just gets bigger and bigger every single weekend, and every time it's like 75,000 people in a football stadium is an entirely jam-packed football stadium. So, wow, well, very much to appreciate the support, folks. And hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. It's a pleasure commentating to you guys. Okie dokes. What else have we got going on? Lando Norris is 9/10 behind George Russell, and he is gaining at a rate of knots here. He's going to have DRS for the first time on George Russell. 33 laps remain. We are halfway through the race. Lando Norris is on the hunt. And here he goes, out of the final corner. He's got DRS. It's going to be too far back on this occasion to get a move done. But if he can even pressure George Russell into going defensive, we know that George Russell has a little habit of going defensive a little bit too early. He did that against Max Verstappen. He did that in Canada as well. So maybe Lando Norris can force a mistake out of him. Meanwhile, Lando Norris's teammate Oscar Piastri is coming down the main straight right behind Pierre Gasly. 4/10 is the gap as they approach turn number 1. 2/10 is the gap. Piastri looks to the inside. Can he get the move done? Yes, he can. Great move there from Piastri. He's up into 7th position, and the McLaren overcut has worked absolute wonders. Sergio Perez once again purple in the middle sector, and he's got his personal best time. He's on the back of Alonso already, so that should be a fairly straightforward overtake. Yeah, there it is. Perez up into 13th place now, and he's already done a pit stop. So yeah, this is looking good for Sergio Perez. He's got to make up quite a few more places though, and he's also got to manage his tyres all the way to the end of the race. Okay, now here comes Lando Norris. 5/10 is the gap, 5.5 is the gap as he comes out of turn number 14. His front left tyre is going to be absolutely screaming. He's been stuck behind Hamilton for a couple of laps. Now he's stuck behind Russell. But onto the main straight he goes. He's got the DRS, he's got the slipstream, and once again, he goes to the inside. George Russell tries to defend it, and he defends it successfully on this occasion. He knows that if he loses his position, then there'll be no seeing Lando Norris. However, Lando Norris gets a switchback going through turn number 2, and down the inside he goes, and they try and battle through turn number 4, and they're once again side by side. Russell round the outside. What a move from George Russell, and now going into turn number 5. Can Lando Norris get this back? No, he cannot, but some brilliant racing between the two British drivers, and never mind, they're side by side going through turn number 5 and now into 6. Who's got the inside line? It's Lando Norris, and he's just secured that. What a move. Some seriously good racing. You're going to have to watch the highlights for that, but some spectacular overtaking and racing between those two drivers, and Lando Norris has secured that 2nd place halfway through this Spanish Grand Prix. Yeah, great move. Absolutely brilliant move there from Lando Norris. Russell's going to try and fight it, but it's yeah, now Russell's under pressure from Hamilton. So I think Russell's going to be looking more in his mirrors instead of looking ahead of him, because Lando Norris is very much going to drive off into the sunset. And look at that, the gap is nearly over 1 second already. But yeah, I would say if let me know who you're going to vote for driver of the day. I would maybe go for Lando Norris. Lando Norris has done quite a lot of overtaking. Of course, he had a bit of a bad start, losing out, but then this overcut has worked wonders for him. I don't think there's been anyone else that has been too exceptional. Yeah, I mean, Albon starting in the pits and then ended up in 16th position, but he's still yet to come in for his 2nd stop, so yeah, who knows. All right, Logan Sargent comes into the pits for the 2nd stop. That is great. Oh wow, we've hit 2,000 likes. That is fantastic, folks. Wow. Max for drive of the day, he gained a position. To be fair, well, he did gain a position, didn't he? And maybe Lando Norris is going to chase him down. Is he going to chase him down? 8 seconds is the gap. That seems a little bit unrealistic. But, let's wait and see. And look at that. Lewis Hamilton overtakes George Russell as well. Russell, after losing the... Oh, no, Russell's coming to the pits. Never mind. He didn't overtake him. We've got Carlos Sainz into the pits as well. We've got 30 laps left of this race. And we are potentially going to have a couple of drivers out on hard tyres, or are they going to come out on another set of mediums? In fact, they're not. They're going to come out on a set of hards because they don't have another set of medium tyres. Pirelli's allocation for this weekend has been one set of mediums, one set of hards, and every other tyre is a set of softs. So there we go. Russell and Sainz out on a set of hard tyres. With 30 laps left to go, that's more than enough to get to the end of this race. The question is, will Sainz be able to catch up to the back of Russell, since Russell's now going to be stuck behind Gasly for a bit? And it was a quick pit stop for Russell, unlike the previous occasion where he had a slow pit stop. So nicely done there from the Mercedes crew. All right. Oh, we've got a couple of lap times deleted there. Lewis Hamilton, lap time deleted at turn number 5 on lap 21 and lap 28. And Daniel Ricciardo, a lap time deleted at turn number 9. So yeah, three or more warnings, so we could see some penalties being given out. But apart from that, it should be fine. Perez 2 seconds a lap faster than Hulkenberg. Wow, yeah. I mean, that goes to show that's 24 laps on a medium tyres compared to 5 laps on a medium tyres, and Perez should be able to catch up soon enough to the back of Hulkenberg and hopefully get past him this time. Yeah. Right, let's see. George Russell, he has got... George Russell, what was I going to say about George Russell? Oh yeah, he's overtaken Gasly. And he is... Oh no, he's not overtaking Gasly. He just comes out of the pits ahead of Gasly. So nicely timed by the Mercedes crew. And we're going to wait and see if he can get an overtake done. Oh no, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. Russell did overtake Gasly. Apologies for the confusion. Okay. Carlos, yeah, unfortunately Carlos is in P8. Of course, there are a couple of drivers ahead of him still yet to pit, but I think when Gasly comes into pits, he'll come out ahead, he'll go out behind Sainz, but Piastri, when Piastri pits, he will also be behind Sainz. Leclerc, however, will stay out, I think, just ahead of Sainz, or maybe behind him, depending on the upcoming laps now. So... yeah, Sainz probably going to end up in 5th position at his home Grand Prix, which is not the best, but still fairly decent. Of course, he would have loved it for a podium, but the McLarens and the Mercedes seem too quick here. And this is the other thing. If you cast your mind back to the Canadian Grand Prix, not a single Ferrari-powered car ended up in the top 10. Which is, yeah, interesting. I mean, Ferrari, they're not exactly down on power, but maybe they have some sort of small disadvantage compared to the Mercedes power unit, because Canada was a very power-sensitive circuit, and yeah, of course, the two Ferraris DNF'd, they probably would have scored points, but they still weren't that quick. So it's interesting. Also, the clouds are still very, very grey. I'd just like to give you an update on that, but they do not seem to be coming over the circuit anytime soon. The circuit still seems fairly bright and lit up by the sunshine. So yeah, I don't think we're going to get any sort of rain. However, I've just looked at Max Verstappen's helmet cam, and there are still massive clouds, but they're just not moving that quickly. With only 27 laps left to go of this race and a lap time of 1 minute 20, that's going to be around about 40 minutes. Yeah, 40 minutes or so. And I don't think those clouds are going to get over the circuit in 40 minutes' time. Perez does have to pit again. Perez, don't think he does. He's on a set of mediums, and Pirelli say you can do 34 laps on a set of medium tyres. So if Perez manages his tyres properly, he could probably get to the end of the race. It would be a bit stupid to do a 3-stop when 2-stop is definitely the quickest strategy. So, yeah. Yeah, the undercut is pretty strong, but the as proven by the McLarens, the overcut is very strong as well. And look at that, Lando Norris is actually closing up the gap here to Max Verstappen. The gap was previously 8.5 seconds, and now it's down to 6.5 seconds. I don't know how many laps that took, but on the previous lap, Lando Norris was a full second quicker than Max Verstappen. So, yeah, Lando Norris is putting in some really quick laps here, and we could see him close up to the back of Verstappen. It's interesting. I mean, Verstappen, I think he's lost time because of traffic, as you guys can see at the top right of your screen. Verstappen has now just got past Bottas, Stroll, Tsunoda, and Magnussen. So probably traffic has been causing him to lose a bit of time, whereas Norris is now just coming up onto the traffic. But let's wait and see. George Russell with the fastest lap of the race. Very, very quick lap indeed from Russell. I don't know when he set that, but yeah, his previous laps have just been staying with Piastri. He's not speeding up that quickly, and in fact, Sainz is actually gaining on him. So he's got a bit of trouble from Sainz behind. Russell not had the most optimal weekend so far, losing a position to his teammate and Hamilton and Norris. So yeah, we'll see how it works out for George Russell. But he's still got 25 laps left to go, and he's done his final pit stop as well. Everyone ahead of him still yet to pit. We've still got the top 5 drivers have only done one stop, and they definitely do have to come in for another pit stop. Right. Also, guys, if you are interested in F1 TV Pro, it's got all of the what's it got? It's got all of the live footage, live broadcast. I think commentary in like 5 different languages, and then onboards, team radios, telemetry, and all of the historic races as well. So if you guys are interested in that, then F1 TV Pro is what you want to get. So the link is in the description. That would help out the channel significantly. All right, there we go. We've got Lance Stroll gets the overtake done on Valtteri Bottas going into turn number 1. A fairly straightforward overtake there for Lance Stroll. Does F1 TV also commentate in German? I don't think it does. I think they don't commentate in German because Sky Sports bought all the German rights. So you can't actually buy F1 TV in Germany, so that's why you don't have German commentary. But I think if you get a Austrian VPN, you can listen to the Austrian commentary, which might be in German. Well, not the Austrian commentary, the Austrian coverage. Yeah. Can you highlight the DRS zone with some color on the circuit map? Unfortunately, I can't highlight it, but I can show it to you with my mouse. The DRS zone is basically from just before the start finish line there, and it ends just about here. And then the other DRS zone is here to just before the braking zone there. So that's the DRS zone. Okie dokes. Alright, not too much battling going on in the back of the pack. Daniel Ricciardo and Nico Hülkenberg having a bit of a squabble down there in 12th and 13th. But looking at that, Daniel Ricciardo up in 12th, Yuki Tsunoda down in 19th. Ricciardo still yet to pit. He's done 7 more laps on his medium tyres compared to Tsunoda, and I suspect Ricciardo will be coming into the pits very, very soon because he's just lost a position there to Nico Hülkenberg, who's on the hard tyres. And there we go, yeah, Ricciardo into the pits. They've just come over the radio to Charles Leclerc. There'll be 23 laps left to go. What do you think about the tyres? Use the soft or the hards? So Hamilton now just into the pits. With 23 laps left to go, you could go for a soft stint. And this is the thing. The drivers did 23 laps at the start of the race when everyone was a lot closer together, so that means more overheating. The circuit was green, which means more tyre wear, and they had an extra 100 kilos of fuel in the car, which means more tyre wear. So if they could do 23 laps at the start, they could probably do another 23 laps on a set of softs now. which would really give them an advantage, because in terms of pure race pace, when both tyres are fresh, the hard tyres are 1 second slower than the softs. So look at that. Hamilton has done exactly that. He comes out on a set of soft tyres. Carlos Sainz ahead of him. He's on a set of hards. And Hamilton is going to have a massive pace advantage going through a couple of these corners. And he might be finding his way past Carlos Sainz very, very soon, depending on how hard Sainz decides to defend. So let's wait and see. We could see Leclerc come out on a set of softs as well. Right. I'm going to have a quick sip of water. I'll be back in just a second. Yeah, Verstappen coming into the pits. Norris with a purple first sector. Look at that. I mean, I think Norris got a purple for his first sector because he got a bit of a slipstream and DRS off show, but regardless, yeah, Verstappen is out on a set of soft tyres, which is to be expected now. I think the soft tyres will probably be the optimal strategy choice to go to the end of this race. Oh, there we go. I think I'm just going to, one sec, just give me 1 sec, folks. Let me adjust what's on the screen. Right, there you go. You can see all of the previous tyres. But as you can see, everyone started the race on the softs, and they did around about 20 or 17 or 20 laps on those softs. So they probably will be able to pull out a couple more laps on those. Alright, Verstappen purple through the middle sector. Lewis Hamilton now purple through the first sector on the set of soft, and he's really catching up to Sainz here, and let's see what he can do as they go out of the final corner. Carlos Sainz has got a fairly decent exit, but Lewis Hamilton has got the slipstream, he's got the DRS, and as they now head towards the start-finish straight, Hamilton right on his tail. George Russell getting an overtake done on Piastri. Both Mercedes coming down the main straight on lap number 46 get an overtake done, and Hamilton overtakes Carlos Sainz, and there's nothing he can do about it. Sainz on 9-lap-old hard tyres, and Hamilton on 5-lap-old soft tyres. Maybe the strategy choice was to just stay on the mediums a little bit longer for Carlos Sainz and then come in for a set of hards, but yeah, really hasn't worked out. Come in for a set of softs, but yeah, that strategy for Carlos Sainz hasn't worked out, and the soft tyres seem to be the tyres that you want to be on today. And look at that, Hamilton purple through the first sector. George Russell with the fastest lap. Oh no, not a fast lap. He's currently holding the fastest lap. Verstappen with a set of softs. It's pushing still pretty quick actually. And he'll be catching up to Leclerc soon enough. And I think it would be optimal if Norris and Leclerc come in for a set of soft tyres sooner rather than later. Alright, let's see what else. Hamilton now catching up to the back of Piastri. He just overtook Sainz, and Piastri just got overtaken by Russell, but Piastri now comes into the pits for his final pit stop, and Hamilton gets that 5th position, and Carlos Sainz up into 6th. Alright. Let's see what else is going on. Sergio Perez is in 8th position. Started off the race in 11th, now up into 8th. I think gets ahead of Piastri, who's come into the pits as well. So yeah, Perez up into 7th. Still a long way to go if he wants to, well, satisfy what Red Bull want, because Red Bull would ideally want a 3rd or a 4th position out of him. But yeah. Let's see what Lando Norris is going to do. Hamilton with the fastest lap of the race at 1:17.8, marginally quicker than Russell's fastest lap of the race. And Lando Norris finally into the pits. What tyres does he come out on? It looks like it's going to be soft tyres, for Lando Norris as he comes out of the pits. And Verstappen regains the lead of this race. We've got 19 laps left to go. Do let me know who you think will be driver of the day. Who is your driver of the day? But Norris finally comes out of the pits there, and he is so close to Russell, 1/10 of a second. It is so close, but Norris manages to just hang in there just ahead of Russell. So close on the exit. But yeah, Lando Norris keeps that lead, and now Russell's going to try and chase him down, but Norris is on the softs and Russell's on the hards, and the strategy has not been optimal there for George Russell. A very good job by the McLaren pit crew. They absolutely nailed that pit stop, and he comes out just ahead of George Russell. Great job. Alright, and Charles Leclerc came into the pits as well on that lap, and he comes out in 6th position. He comes out 7.5 seconds behind Carlos Sainz. So he's got 19 laps to close that up. Otherwise, he will end up in 6th and Sainz in 5th. And Lewis Hamilton, currently holding the fastest lap of the race, is chasing down his teammate. He's got the DRS out of the final corner. So let's wait and see what will happen there. We've got a 5-second time penalty for Nico Hülkenberg for speeding in the pit lane. Seems like when he came in for his final pit stop, he didn't hit the brakes early enough, and he lost out. Alright, we've got 19,000 people watching the stream. Very much to appreciate it, folks. And if you are enjoying the coverage, then be sure to subscribe. I will be commentating the Austrian Grand Prix. Ooh, the data's just frozen there. Hopefully that's fine. There we go. Yeah, I will be commentating the Austrian Grand Prix and the British Grand Prix and all of the upcoming Grand Prix, to be honest. So, yeah, if you're enjoying the coverage, then be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any more live streams. Right. 6 people have been lapped. Yes, we've got everyone from Bottas and below being lapped, and Max Verstappen does not seem to be slowing down whatsoever, and he might be lapping Stroll and Alonso soon enough. Right. Hamilton, though, dropped back a little bit off George Russell. He's on the soft tyres, so he should be able to get an overtake done there on George Russell, but yeah, the Mercedes crew seem quite engaged. Maybe there's going to be some sort of team radio, team orders action, just because they don't want to have a little mishap of the two drivers driving into each other, which they have experience of happening at the Spanish Grand Prix, 2016 Grand Prix. Yeah. All right, we've got Sergio Perez coming into the... Oh, Perez is doing a 3-stop. Okay, well, he was in 8th position, and yeah, that's all been thrown away because he's going to come into the pits now, and he's going to come out in 11th position. Yeah, he's probably going to come out in 11th or 10th, so not good. Lando Norris, a fastest lap of the race there, 6.8 seconds behind Max Verstappen. He's got a lot of time to gain before he gets anywhere near him, but we've got 17 laps remaining, 7 seconds. That can definitely be closed up, but I don't think Max Verstappen is going to allow that. We've got a 5-second penalty for Yuki Tsunoda for speeding in the pit lane as well. We don't really see this happen very often, but yeah, Tsunoda with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And look at that, the gap between Ricciardo and Tsunoda is 15 seconds. No, not even 15 seconds. It's more than that. It's oh no, it's 15 seconds, never mind. But yeah, the two teammates split by quite the big distance there, and usually we see Tsunoda being ahead of Ricciardo, but Ricciardo doing a good job this weekend round. He's been struggling a little bit as of late, but he's managed to bounce back, which is a good sign for the Aussie driver. Alright, Lewis Hamilton is right on the tail here of George Russell. With these soft tyres, he's got grip through every single corner that George Russell will never be able to find on those hard tyres. And I think maybe going into turn number 10 on this lap, or maybe turn number 1 on the following lap, he might be able to get an overtake done. But this is the issue. If George Russell can speed up just a little bit, he'll be on the back of Kevin Magnussen, and that means Kevin Magnussen will give him DRS, and Hamilton will struggle to make an overtake happen. So let's see, as they go into turn number 11, George Russell, will he be able to steal some DRS off the drivers ahead of him, which are currently traffic, and will he be able to hold off Lewis Hamilton for one more lap? With 15 laps left to go, there is a good chance that if Russell keeps doing this, the soft tyres wear out and get slower and slower, and the hard tyres get quicker and quicker relative, and Russell will be able to hold on. So here they are, 0.4 of a second, 0.2 of a second. Russell goes to the inside, Hamilton goes to the outside, and nicely done there from Lewis Hamilton. Russell's going to try and fight this one, but with those hard tyres, he does not stand a chance. So yeah, Hamilton now up there into third position, and we've got Verstappen in first, Lando Norris in second with another fastest lap of the race, and he takes another second out of Verstappen. So Lando Norris is really picking up the pace here. Great to see. Hopefully he can close up the gap. That would be fantastic. I'd love to see a battle for the lead with 10 laps left to go. If he continues at this pace, taking a second out of Verstappen on each lap, with 10 laps to go, we're going to have a battle for the lead, which would be spectacular. And Russell here on this occasion loses out to Hamilton, and we've got Hamilton in third. He's 6 seconds behind Lando Norris. All right, Fernando Alonso up in 13th, and he is going to be getting a bit of DRS there off Guan Yu Zhou, unfortunately not being able to get an overtake done. But yeah, that is a lot of lapped cars. Yeah, we haven't had a safety car or a virtual safety car or anything like that so far. We've still got 14 laps remaining. You know, there's possibility for an action for a bit of action to go on. Maybe someone just drive into the gravel, take one for the team, and give us a bit of action. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, 14 laps left. Oh yeah, the likes are once again, we've hit the like target. We are getting pretty close to the subscriber target as well. Yeah. Cheers, folks. Right. 3,000 likes. Incredible. Frankly, incredible. Yeah, no rain, no safety car, nothing. We still had a fair amount of action. Like, I'm not gonna say the race was totally boring. We've had quite a lot of strategy choices, and some of them working out well, some of them not. But the overcut by McLaren, I would say, a very good highlight. They could have went for the undercut and still maybe got ahead of Russell, but then yeah, the overcut worked out very well for them. And Norris is still taking time out of Verstappen. Well, actually, okay, no. On his previous lap, he was only 0.2 quicker, so it's going to be a long haul now for Norris. He's done 2 quick laps, but those tyres are really going to start struggling with track temperature now slowly creeping up towards 43 degrees. Yeah. All right. At least Checo can score points today. Yeah, well, Checo had a quick pit stop, came out in 9th position. So, yeah, I guess he could maybe catch up to Gasly and score 4 points instead of 2, but it's not great really. We're on lap number 54 of 66, and 13 laps remain of this Grand Prix. We've got Nico Hülkenberg with DRS on Esteban Ocon coming down the main straight. He is gaining and gaining. The Alpine down on power, but still managing to hold on compared to Nico Hülkenberg. Yeah, nicely done. Alright, do let me know who your driver of the day is. I am definitely going to be voting for Lando Norris. If he can keep his fastest lap of the race, I think Lando Norris definitely deserves driver of the day. And nobody gaining that many positions of sort. Like, the most positions anyone sort of gained is Piastri that's gained 2, Perez has gained 2, Hülkenberg's gained 2, Zhou's gained 2, and Albon's gained 2. So, yeah. I mean, Norris has in fact even lost a position, but I would say his performance after his pit stop, pulling off the overcut strategy, has worked out really well. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz switch around positions. I don't know if that was an overtake or a team radio, but it seems like it was a team radio. It was team orders. They've said, can you swap the cars at turn 1? And Carlos stays on the racing line and you go to the inside, and that is exactly what they did. So Ferrari switching around the drivers, and I guess that is kind of to be expected. Sainz is already, they said that Sainz isn't going to be driving next year, so why let him score some more points? It is also his home Grand Prix, so you could let the man get 5th place at his home Grand Prix instead of 6th, but Sainz did close the door on Leclerc in the opening part of the race, and that's probably why Ferrari have decided to switch them around. All right. Lance Stroll, Sergio Perez. I think they're serious contenders for driver of the day. If I'm going to be honest with you, Logan Sargent as well, serious contender for driver of the day. Sainz is on the hards, but I think the Ferrari, they would have let them battle normally, but there was a bit of an incident between Leclerc and Sainz at the start of this race, which has led to, I think, them switching the drivers using team radios rather than just some racing. And the gap between Norris and Verstappen, it is hovering around about 5 seconds, and it does not look to be getting any smaller anytime soon. On the previous occasion, in fact, Verstappen was 0.3 quicker than Norris. I think Norris pushed a little bit too hard, and probably just doesn't have the sheer pace to catch up to Max Verstappen. I think, looking at the gap between the two, both of them seem to be conserving and just managing their tyres. And I think if Norris does push a little bit too hard, he does risk falling off a cliff with these soft tyres, because track temperature has once again creeped up. The sun has come out, and we're now reaching 44 degrees track temperature. And Norris is going to struggle if he pushes any harder than he currently is. Piastri with a personal best lap time in 7th position, 10 seconds behind Carlos Sainz, kind of in a no man's land there, just making his way through some traffic. But that kind of cements it, really. We've got the fastest car is clearly the Red Bull, or the fastest car driver combo is clearly Max Verstappen and Red Bull, but Lando Norris is really right up there. I think Piastri as well. Piastri has been having a bit of a bad weekend, but if you look at the lap times between Piastri and Norris, they're fairly similar. They're within 1 or 2 tenths of each other. So if Piastri hadn't had that mishap in qualifying, then I would have expected Piastri to potentially be up there for the podium. So McLaren, the second quickest team, and then Mercedes have kind of leapfrogged Ferrari here and gone up to 3rd quickest by the looks of it. Like, the gap only between them is only 2 seconds, but even in qualifying it was very, very close, but the Ferraris consistently were behind the Mercedes. So, and it's definitely not a driver issue, because Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz were both close to each other, and Lando and Lewis Hamilton, George Russell very close to each other, and that's usually a sign that the drivers have pushed the car to the limit. When both drivers are basically identical lap times, you can tell that is as quick as the car can go. Ferrari struggling there, but they're not that far behind Mercedes. Maybe 1 or 2 more upgrade packages or a circuit that suits them slightly better, and we could see Ferrari go ahead of Mercedes and Mercedes fall back down again. Gap has dropped back down to 4.9 seconds, 4.7 seconds. Lando Norris gains a little bit on that previous lap. He gains half a second or so, but I still don't think it'll be enough to close it up with 9 laps left. Alright. Also, folks, if you are enjoying the coverage, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Hopefully we can hit 75,000 subscribers. That would be fantastic. Getting really, really close to it. Well, not that close to 100k yet, but if it keeps going at this rate, then by the end of the season, we could potentially get 100k. That would be that'd be fantastic, really. Alright. What else is going on? Not too much, really. I mean, look at that. No one within 1 second of each other. The closest gap that we have got is Kevin Magnussen, who is 1.8 seconds behind Daniel Ricciardo. Ooh. Right, what else is Verstappen in completely clean air? Yeah, that is a good point. So, no more traffic for Verstappen until the end of this race, and Norris has just got to get past Alonso. And apart from that, it should be smooth sailing for him as well. Yeah. Ooh, a little bit of a freeze of the data, but there we go. It's don't know what's going on with it really, but it seems to be doing all right. Bit interesting. I should probably get a new laptop really. My laptop isn't the quickest thing in the world, but yeah, we'll see. All right. Yeah, the gap once again, 4.8 seconds, and Norris once again takes another 2/10 out of Verstappen. I'm sure Verstappen's just not too concerned really with a gap of 5 seconds, and there's no sort of chance that he gets a 5-second penalty out of nowhere. No one's really been exceeding track limits. Logan Sargent's done it once, Hamilton's done it twice, Albon's done it once, and a couple more people have done it once, but apart from that, no one really exceeding track limits. We saw it yesterday in quali as well. I think Piastri was the only driver to exceed track limits in qualifying yesterday, so this circuit has been quite good for track limits. However, Austria next weekend is not going to be good for track limits whatsoever. We're going to see so many track limit deletions, so many deleted track lap times. It will be insane and very difficult to keep on track of. We've got Daniel Ricciardo just on the back there of Valtteri Bottas, and he'll be looking to get an overtake done there. And Albon has got another lap time deleted. And just as I said that we aren't getting too many lap times getting deleted, Albon has gone and done it. Right. Okie dokes. What else is going on? Why are the Ferrari cars like that? Yeah, I mean, the Ferraris, they aren't that far off. Like, you've got to consider, over a distance of 300 kilometers, the Ferraris are 3 seconds behind the Mercedes. You've got to, that's fairly close. There's only if they're 1/10 a lap quicker, then they're actually ahead of the Mercedes. So it's very small margins in these kind of things. And yeah. Right, yeah, who gave Perez a renewal? That is a very interesting question. The reason for giving Perez a renewal was just like to kind of clear his mind and give him peace of mind, being like, don't worry about, you don't have to have too much pressure on your driving. You've got a contract for next year. You can just, drive as well as you can. Don't worry about, I have to get this position, otherwise I don't get a contract or anything like that. And here he is in 9th place. So he's really been struggling, hasn't he, Sergio Perez? But hopefully he can come out of it. Daniel Ricciardo won the fight down under. Yes, he did. He got ahead of Valtteri Bottas. Nicely done. Yeah. Interesting though. Interesting. If you look at the sort of the tyre strategy on the screen, you can see that all of the top front runners, most of them have gone soft, medium, soft, and then the drivers lower down have done soft, medium, hard. So it kind of goes to show that the better that your car is on your tyres, the more likely you are to be further up. That's another critical thing that we don't normally see and talk about. Normally we're just looking at the raw pace in qualifying, who's the quickest in quality. But if your car is really nice on its tires and it doesn't wear them out too much, then you are actually very good in race conditions compared to a lot of other teams. So yeah, I don't know exactly where I was going with that, but that's another thing that the engineers are quite critical of when they're developing the chassis and setting up, deciding whether to use a push rod or a pull rod suspension, and what the weight distribution is going to be like. That they all have to keep in mind how this is going to affect tire wear, because tire wear is one of the most critically overlooked things. People are just like, oh yeah, if we can set a quick quali lap, we'll be quick in the race. But tire wear is a very, very important to pay attention to. All right, Lando, once again, he's closing in. 4 seconds is a gap, but with 4 laps left to go, unless Max Verstappen does a nice 360, don't think we're going to see Lando Norris winning this one. All right. Oh, 19,300 people watching. Very much do appreciate it, buddies. Buddies? Yeah. Is it buddies? Is it? I don't know. Will Hamilton overtake Norris? No, 13 seconds is the gap. So, yeah, no. I don't know what Ferrari have done, but they've been terrible since Monaco. Yeah, they have been. I think Ferrari are probably more suited to higher downforce circuits. So that's why they were really bad in Montreal. And when Charles Leclerc was asked about the Montreal, the issues that they had there, they were basically just like, we made a mistake in qualifying, and we know what the issue is, and we're not going to do it again, kind of thing. So, yeah, I think Ferrari sort of figured out what they need to do with their car and where the optimal setup lies, because I think in Canada their car was quick, but they just didn't have the correct setup for the conditions, which meant that they lost out loads. So, and with a circuit, when the pack is so close together, everything is really, really very fine margin. So even the smallest mistake or smallest hiccup in your setup can lead to a lot of positions lost and getting knocked out in Q2. So, yeah. Right. Okie dokes. 3 laps remain of this Grand Prix. And Max Verstappen is firmly in the lead of this race. Right. What else is going on the... I don't know why it's freezing so much. Hopefully that will stop happening. Yeah. Charles may get George Russell. In fact, yeah, that actually might happen. With 2 laps left to go, 1.3 seconds is the gap. Leclerc on some softs, Russell on some hards. It's going to be tough for Charles Leclerc, but if he could get that done, that would be spectacular. Yeah. All right, let's wait and see then. George, what am I saying? George Russell is coming under pressure here from Charles Leclerc now. Leclerc really attacking, trying to get a little bit closer to George Russell. Russell has got Stroll ahead of him for traffic. So if this traffic were, if Stroll gets in the way, which Stroll has a very good habit of getting in the way, we could see Leclerc actually catch up here. Okay, so let's have a look. Max is Max 2.5 seconds. What has gone on there? The gap has dropped absolutely enormously, and going through the first sector, it is 1.2 seconds between. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit flustered here. Verstappen's made a massive mistake, and Russell and Norris catches 1.5 seconds in 1 lap. Interesting. Right. Max is really pushing here. Don't know what's been going on, but he's lost a massive amount of time. Sargent gets out of the way of Norris nicely. We could see something happen. We're on the final lap of the race, though. George Russell and Charles Leclerc on the final lap. Oh, we could get a final lap overtake here. Leclerc has got DRS. 6/10 is the gap as they go into turn number 1. Is Stroll going to get out of the way nicely for both the drivers? Leclerc 4/10 behind him. Perez is also right on the back of Gasly. So on the final lap here, we've got quite a bit of action. Max Verstappen, though, still 2.5 seconds ahead of Lando Norris, so he's doing a fairly decent job. All right, so we have the potential Leclerc overtaking Russell, and then we have Perez overtaking Gasly on the final lap here. Let's wait and see what happens. Right. Here comes Leclerc then. His only opportunity is sort of turn 10. There's not really that much that can happen. So here comes now Max Verstappen out of the final corner. He's done a brilliant job. He got pushed all the way onto the grass on turn number 1, and then he's made a couple of overtakes, and he comes home to win the Spanish Grand Prix. He's had a bit of up and downs in this season so far, but he's back on top. Lando Norris comes home in second place. He's done a fantastic job. And then we've got Hamilton in third for coming home with a podium for Mercedes. Leclerc right on the tail of Russell here. 3.5 tenths is the gap. He's going to have the DRS. It's going to be a drag race to the finish, but Russell has just enough to take it. And we've got Russell comes home for 4th position, Charles Leclerc in 5th, Carlos Sainz in 6th. And what can Sergio Perez do? Perez gets ahead of Pierre Gasly. Nicely done on the final lap. We've got Piastri in 7th position, Sergio Perez in 8th, a long way back, 25 seconds way back to be exact. But yeah, that has been the Grand Prix, folks. 66 laps of racing, a little bit less action than we had at Canada, but of course not every single race can be totally spectacular. Lando Norris getting very close at the end, Charles Leclerc getting very close at the end, and Sergio Perez getting a last lap overtake done as well. So to sort of summarise, we've had, well, Red Bull are clearly the fastest car. Red Bull and Max Verstappen's little combo is still very quick. Lando Norris is a force to be reckoned with, though, with the McLaren. I'm sure Piastri as well at the Austrian Grand Prix circuit should be right on it up there. Mercedes have didn't even bring any upgrades this weekend, and they were still really quick. Ferrari brought a couple upgrades, and they've been managing to perform well. And then Sergio Perez starting the race in 11th, only up into 8th. Not a good race for him, really. Not a good race. But that has been the coverage, folks. I am going to end today's stream. I'll take you over to the FP1 stream for Austria. That's going to be on a Friday, so if you can't make it, then that is totally okay. But I will be doing the FP1, the sprint quali, the sprint race, the actual quali, and then the actual race. So I'll be doing all of the sessions for the Austrian Grand Prix. So if you guys do want to tune into that, then be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. The checkered flag has fallen, and that has been the Spanish Grand Prix done and dusted. It's been a pleasure commentating to you, folks. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the coverage. And have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are in the world. And I will see you in 5 days' time for the Austrian Grand Prix, where we'll have a sprint weekend. So, yeah, look forward to that. And I will, yeah, that's been it, really. See you next weekend. Cheers for tuning in, and that's been it from me. Cheers, fellas.